Hello everyone and welcome. I have bad news. I regret to inform you that I have a problem. And that is kinda normal in a human being life, isn't it? But not all human beings play Guild Wars 2, and that's where I have a problem. More specifically, an endgame problem. You see, at the time this video will go up, you probably already know that my character that I'm currently playing, my warrior, is at max level 80. And for the first time, I must add, I completed the personal story. Now that's a great achievement for me, I must tell you. What I want to say is that I can't, for the life of me, stick to one bloody character. I have a level 80 engineer, which I didn't complete the personal story. I have now a level 80 warrior, and I had a thief, which unfortunately didn't end quite well, is at level 60. And for some reason, I didn't quite like the game style of it, compared to other roguish style of classes in other MMOs. I don't know, I just didn't feel quite right, because I normally like rogues. But what I want to talk about is that I think this is not only a personal problem with me, but it's also a problem with Guild Wars 2, which is, and don't quote me on this, I know there's a lot of controversy around this topic. I know this was very discussed even before the game was launched, even on the beta, which is Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a proper in-gaming content. I know that's not true. I know that's not completely true. Don't slaughter me. I know. But let's stop for a second here. We have WVW. That's cool. We have PvP, and we will probably most certainly have arenas in the near future. Now, a player that buys Guild Wars 2 probably gets some information from it. But you start Guild Wars 2 and playing Guild Wars 2 as a very solo game, as a very single player game with a story, etc, etc. You end up on a game that is very PvP-ish, and that's kind of fine, because that was all what Guild Wars was about, right? The first one. I didn't play it, but I had a couple of friends that played it, and that was about it. It was a PvP game, mostly. It was a focused MMO, the focused PvP MMO. That's fine. Whoever buys Guild Wars 2 probably has to know that. Now, this is what gets to me. Guild Wars 2 excels in the story mode, at the personal story. I really enjoyed it. Those moments where you lost a companion, those moments where you lost your mentor, that was truly a very intense moments, and I really enjoyed it a lot, I must say. It kinda gets boring and dragging, and I already talked about it on the Risen part, but the very first part of every personal story is very entertaining, and I like it. The problem is, when you get to max level, and I think this is a very severe problem with Guild Wars 2, you are left all alone. There's nothing that tells you, okay, you have now at your disposal, you can do this, this, and this. You have nothing. Now, I'm a person that, you know, easily goes to the web and researches what you have to do and what you have to do in the game. But, you know, there's some people that don't do that and probably will feel all left alone. I know. That's kinda supporting the laziness. But you should have at least have a mail, a letter, something. Something that tells you, okay, you're now at max level, you completed your personal story, which is the main thing on your character progress, and now you should try this, this, and this. There's nothing like that. You have just this. A daily marker, a daily notification for daily things. Daily kills, daily dodger, daily healer, daily gatherer, and daily events. And this daily word freaks the heck out of me. I completely hated daily events or daily quests on, for instance, my previous MMO experience, World of Warcraft. I got to a point where I just logged in to do dailies and quit it. And that was about it. And that's when a game becomes freaking boring as hell. And there's one thing good about Guild Wars 2 compared to World of Warcraft, is that you don't have monthly fees. Still, they kind of force you with this daily crap. I don't like it. I don't want it. I will probably not try to complete this unless I'm completely forced to. And that's only because Guild Wars 2 doesn't have monthly fees. There's never been another MMO like Guild Wars 2, for me personally, that encouraged you to create another character as this one, as Guild Wars 2. And I'm gonna say it, I truly am not an altaholic. I most of the times, especially in MMOs obviously, stick to one character, and I slowly, well not slowly, I solely dedicate myself, my time, my resource to that character. What happened in World of Warcraft and other MMOs is that when you reach that max level, there's raids, there's group events. That's where they focus their time and effort. On Guild Wars 2 you have WVW, and that's fine. Actually, when I knew Guild Wars 2 didn't have raids or anything of the sort, I was happy. Although I'm a raider guy, I've been a World of Warcraft guy, or I was, for quite some time, for a lot of years. Ages ago. Jesus, when I remember, so much time wasted. Anyway, That's not what really intrigues me on Guild Wars 2 and content, whatever that means. I know there will be patches, I know there will be another events like the Karke event. That's awesome, and I love that. But they don't really expect someone to wait for those patches, to wait for that content, to keep up on Guild Wars 2 and waiting for that. Or do they? That's my real question. I'm gonna be honest, I am more of a PvE guy than a PvP. And Guild Wars 2 satisfies my PvE side of me greatly. The problem is when you reach level 80 and you complete your personal story. What now? Will you try to complete or try to have 100% world completion? God damn it, that's like a big, great milestone. And that's for one character only. Jesus Christ, you don't expect me to run every single area. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have the time. I can't dedicate that amount of time, even though I'm a PvE guy. And although you're scaled down to that level's area, there's something in the back of my head that tells me this is the low level area. This is for newbies. You shouldn't be here. There's always something like that in the back of my head. Now, this becomes even more severe when, in my case, and I know this is totally my fault, and without going into specifics, I like the warrior. But there are certain things that I'm really... they are getting me pushed away from the warrior. Pretty much like happened with the engineer. Here's the thing. I love the Great Sword bundle. I love to play with it. But there's one really thing I hate about it. At the same time, I know this is precarious, but it's true. Of all these skills over here, when you're fighting a boss in melee range, obviously because you're a melee guy, you use what? You use the auto attack for vulnerability, and you use 100 blades, which is awesome, I tell you. And what about these three skills? Are they really worth it? Most of the times, my answer is, when I find out, is no. Whirlwind attack is good, for instance, when the boss is near a wall, when he's trapped, and you can have all the whirlwind attack hits on him. That's pretty cool. But other than that, no. Blade Trail. Blade Trail does a cripple debuff on the guy. You don't really need to cast or to use this on a boss fight, whatever. And what about rush? You are in front of the guy. Will you rush through him? No! When I'm having boss fights on dungeons, and I have a fair share of it, because yes, I'm already farming my gear. This is my dungeon gear. This is the end quest gear, which I deeply like the looks of it. The war becomes a berserker. Such a bad looking guy. I like it on the Nord. And it has the perfect stats for me and for my great sword bundle. Power, precision, and critical damage. I chose critical damage over condition damage just because the boons, it's not the boons, conditions, I'm completely missing the word, conditions. When you put a condition on someone, in this case it will be bleeding, because that's what warrior does with the great sword, right? When he critical strikes, he puts a condition of bleeding on the guy. And that very, very, very often gets dispelled by some sort of spell like this one. Shake it off. People are always like 80-100, or not 80-100, but 80% of times are dispelling conditions. And bleeding won't be there for much long. That's why I chose critical damage over condition damage. And that's why I chose this set. And I like it. Now, this is where there's another problem that I really hate about. You have so many dungeon sets or sets at your disposal. You have the crafting one, the karma one, the vigil, or the, let's say, the order ones, the vigil, the priority, or the whispers. You have, did I say already the crafting one? You have already this ones, the dungeon ones, which are a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have a lot of sets. That's cool, and this guy looks amazing. Okay, this guy looks just awesome. Wow, look at me. Me near him, just look like a funny Nord. But shh. What I want to say is, they make you run the same dungeon over and over again. What? Am I missing something here? What's the fun in that? Oh my god. In World of Warcraft, for instance, and that's my term of comparison, you could get the tokens on any dungeon whatsoever. What most of the times happens is that people obviously choose the easiest one, because that's where you have less trouble. Even when you're doing with pugs, that's where you have the least trouble. So that's why you choose the easiest one. And I see that's a problem, but still, I will probably have to run like 20 times the same dungeon over and over again with probably pugs to get all my set. That's not my idea of fun and enjoyment. That's another problem of in-gaming for me for Guild Wars 2. Now, I don't want to this video to become a ranting video against Guild Wars 2. I deeply love this game. I think it's the best MMO on the market right now, even though I haven't tried Pandaria on World of Warcraft, but I deeply love this game. I just wish they had something else for the lovers of stories, for the PvE lovers in Guild Wars 2, when you reach your max level and when your personal story is gone. Now, I know there's patches coming, I know there's expansions. There's the Frost one, which is about just here, if it's not here already. Excuse me, because I don't really know that. But let's pretend that I reached level 80 like 2 weeks after the release. I had to wait all this time for an expansion and to enjoy myself. I wouldn't play Guild Wars 2 whatsoever. I would probably play another game. I'm sorry. I'm just ranting on Guild Wars 2, ain't I? I'm gonna get slaughtered. But hey, that's my problem. And again, I'm not an alcoholic guy. But all of this makes me want to create another character. I know it's painful to hear. You probably already thought, okay, Sparrow is finally at level 80. You reached the freaking end of the personal story. All that is behind. We will start doing end stuff for us to see. You will start doing WVW, PvP stuff that I should have been doing a long time ago. But I can't for the life of me keep playing this guy knowing what I know, what I've just explained. And I'm missing some points here. Another point. There's hundreds. I've encountered freaking hundreds of warriors around. And that's my problem. That's completely my fault. I know that. I just went for the biggest guy around here. The biggest badass looking I could have. And I went for warrior. And I'm not sure anymore if that was a good choice. Also, I've searched for a couple of good great swords builds. I was pretty sure already what I wanted on my traits, and without going too much into specifics, because this is a Squawks video, not a Guild Wars 2 video. Although this probably should have already been uploaded to the Guild Wars 2 videos. Anyway, I have this trait over here, which increases damage based how much adrenaline you have built. What I've learned, what I've read from pros, because I'm not a pro, is that this skill, the burst skill, Arsing Slice, is not that great. So what people do with a warrior? People keep adrenaline up to the 3rd level at max and never use this skill. So that you keep this trait at max efficiency, because it gives you 12% more damage. Now, I already only use like these 2 skills on boss fights. Now I don't even use this one. More people should learn to bargain. So the warrior is basically down to 2 skills in PvE when there's no AoE or any sort of thing. Another thing, and I know this is getting crossed and mixed, I apologize for that, but this is getting to my mind. It keeps coming and I have to talk about it. Hidden 100 Blades. It has a problem for me as well, which is I have to have this freaking skill, Throw Bolus, which immobilizes my target. Why? Because the guy keeps freaking moving when I cast my 100 Blades skill, making it miss all the bloody hits. I hate when that happens. And in PvP, when people are fighting one guy and someone knocks him down to a distance, when I just casted 100 Blades, I freaking go mad. Jesus. Another thing. Warrior is melee focused. And I think, I know, hit me, bash me, kill me. I think Guild Wars 2 greatly favors ranged combat. Mainly in boss fights. I don't know PvP, I don't know WVW. I'm not the best guy to talk about that because I barely have done any. But it probably also favors a lot of ranged combat, because when you're WVW, when you're in a castle, when you're up there, strong ranged classes obviously have an advantage against the guys down there fighting the freaking gates. And that's why, all in all, I think I'm creating another character. This is my troubles with Guild Wars 2, and this is what not keeps me on the character and on high level stuff. This is what happens when I reach level 80 and the personal story. And I gotta say, the most interesting stuff, what I really love about Guild Wars 2, my favorite part is like the first 20, 30-ish levels on the personal story. I deeply love them. When you reach the point where you get to Reasons, I go mad. Cause I hate that part. Drags for so long. Treehorn and all that freaking Satan fight, it's so freaking long. That's why when I'm at max level, I think, okay, those times are so good. I want to go back to it. I'll see you on the next one.